When your mind is fully absorbed, there's only the divine reality which prevails. There is no fear, there is nothing of the lower dimension. What keeps you in the lowest dimension is the quality of the external mind. The mind which is always focus of the outside. Of course, God have given you a mind, you have to act in the outside, but you should never let the mind be attached to the outside. Doesn't matter what test He give you. In life, only the great doctor can heal. So sometimes you go to in ancient time, they used to heal certain illness through poison. No? Poison can be a medicine also. But you have to know the right dose of it. If you take excess of it, the same poison which become a medicine become the end of this life. So, but that knowledge is deeper knowledge. Those which is the true doctor, they know about that. So, the divine is the same. Often things happen in one life, one don't see that there is a hand of God into it. But what one does, one sit and cry. One become miserable. One gets submerged with the poison of the mind. So when the mind is fully submerged into its poison, so what there is? Is there any way out? There is no way out. So then, you see, if you have that grace to really know the deeper secret behind the name of the Lord, that's one thing that can save you. It's only through the name. That's why Bhagwan have many names, but you have to dive within that name and get the pearl which is hidden within. Otherwise, you just swim on the surface, knowing the treasure within, but yet you are scared to dive. Would you ever get the pearl which is inside of you? No, you will never. The treasure which is inside of you will never find it. And this is the illness of this material world. So then God take the aspect of the great healer. There is this beautiful story of a saint, Sakubai, her name is. She was born not far away from Pandharpur. From very young, her father Gangadhar Rao and her mother Kamalabai, they could not have a child. So the only thing is they pray to Panduranga, to Vittala. The only thing that we want to have a child which is dedicated to you. So the devotion to Krishna, to Vittala, was single pointed. It was not wandering from left to right. It's not varying As long as I get, it's fine. And as long as I don't get, it's not fine. No. For them, the devotion was really on the feet of Panduranga. So they were blessed. You know, one time, the mother, both of them actually, got a dream where Panduranga came and said, I bless you. You will have a daughter. They were very happy. Both of them wake up and said, oh, you know, we dream of Panduranga. And said, yeah, me too, I dream of Panduranga. So both of them tell the same dream. Panduranga have blessed them. They said, a daughter will be born. Eventually, as the dream, like the Lord have said in the dream, Panduranga, she was pregnant, and a daughter was born. Then they call her Sakubai. And Sakubai, when she was very young, the first word that came out from her mouth was Vittala. And always she was, whatever she would be doing, she was always singing the name of Vittala, Panduranga. You see, that soul is an advanced soul, where Bhagwan himself has sent. The same thing with the bhakta, you know. It's not a coincidence that God reveal himself, you know, in his name. It's not a coincidence that you just happen to be initiated with the divine name. It's because it's reside inside of your soul. That's why you get that chance again. But chances are given. It's up to you to take it or not to take it. So Sakubai was so much absorbed into the divine, but very often she will lose this reality. She will not be present in this reality. One day it so happened that the Lord himself wanted to test her. Panduranga wanted to test her. So, you know, on the bank of the river, Chandrabhaga, there is sand. So she was there playing. So she built, like old child, you know, built a little house. This was her castle. And she was so proud, you know, of what she built. So Panduranga came in the form of an old man in disguise. So he came there and with tampura and a chimta in his hand, was always singing Panduranga, Panduranga. He was singing his own name. Jai Jai Panduranga Hari. Huh? So he pretend that he was in deep bliss. Well, he's always bliss. He's bliss himself, you know. So, but of course the Lord don't express that state, you know, when in his true aspect. So, but he wanted to test Sakubai. She was very young. And as she was very contemplating what she have built so beautifully, so the old man, which is Panduranga in disguise, walk on it, step on and of course Sakubai became very angry and said, "Oh, you crush my castle," you know, and she was very upset. And the man said, "Please forgive me. I have stepped over your castle, but I was not aware of it because I'm so much engrossed in chanting, you know, the divine name. But Sakubai would not let go of him. He said, no, you have to be punished. And this old man said, okay, well, you're a small girl. And then finally he said, okay, fine. You want to punish me? Punish me. So what is your punishment? I said, give me your tempura. Vittala said, no. Because you see, if he give that tempura, this is the end of her normal life. But she was very insisting. And Vittala, in the disguise of the old man, said, take. The moment she hold the tempura in her hand, she was absorbed in bliss. She, inside of her, was just the vibration of Jai Jai Vittala Panduranga was vibrating for her. So again, she was in deep bhav. So when she was in that state, she was just crying. And of course, Panduranga in disgust see her in that state. Said, listen, my dear child, I will have to go to Pandharpur. Then Sakubai said, no, you can't go. I said, look, I have to go. But I promise you I will come back. I will come back in 5 days. So with a heavy heart, so finally she gave the tempura back, and the man said, I'll come back, wait for me. 5 days she was very eager, she could not, in her mind, the day that old man left to Pandharpur, in her mind was she was only focused, she was only thinking of Panduranga, Vittala, 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 nothing else. She was not asleep. So she was waiting eagerly for that 5 days to come, for the old man to come back from Pandharpur to tell her how is it there. So 5 days became a week became a year, months, year. He never come. But the longing which she had within that 5 days have carried on with her. You see, people talk about loving God. People talk about, yes, I want to attain Him, but yet inside of them they don't have that longing, that craving for Him. So that longing have grown, it was just always in her mind was only Panduranga. In her mind, she have said she don't want to get married, she will marry only Vittala. But of course, you see, in a small village in India, you don't have much to say. So she was forced to marry. She got married to one guy by the name Krishna Sharma. So when she got married, people thought that her devotion to Panduranga will change, but in reality it became more intense. Vittala was everything for her, and every thing that she will do, like the gopi, whatever the gopi was doing, whatever service they were doing to the husband, children, and so on, but in the mind was only Krishna. So Panduranga, same thing with Sakubai. She was only thinking of Krishna. And of course her husband didn't like it. Her husband became very violent, and also her mother-in-law became very violent. So they treated her very badly. But there was not a single time that she complained. She accepted as the will of Panduranga. So as time passes, her heart, her longing, her craving for Panduranga, even if they were living near to Pandharpur, she never went to the temple. And her wish was only that, one day just to put her head on the feet of Panduranga. You have to know one thing, that in Pandharpur, this is the only temple in India, like famous temple in India, which you can touch the deity. And that deity itself is Krishna. Because when he did the Leela of Pundarik, he manifests there, and then when he disappeared, he left his Vigraha. And it is considered to be Vaikuntha itself. So that was her wish, just to put her head on the feet of Panduranga, nothing else. Just to see his lotus eyes, But of course, you see, when you are in such a bhav like that, when you are in such a loving relationship with God in that way, people will never understand. So they consider her to be crazy. So they will torture her, especially her mother-in-law will torture her very badly. So one day, when she was by the river collecting water, there was some devotee was going to Pandharpur. When she heard them singing Vittala Panduranga, she was, the urge to go there was so strong. Then she asked them, "Listen, you are going to Pandharpur. Can I come with you?" The sadhus they accept. They said, "Yes, you can come with us, but with one condition. Ask your husband." Look at the Mataji's face the moment I said. Ask your husband first. If he give you permission, then it's fine. So she ran to her house and asked the husband. Of course, the husband became violent and beat her up. Said, "No, you will not go anywhere. Maybe one day we will go together, but right now, no, not possible. I have so much work. It's not possible for you to go." But she was so heartbroken. The mother-in-law said, "Listen, tied your wife to the pillar." So she was tied. To the pillar. But in her mind, that longing and to be in Pandharpur, what was her only aim. So that something happened. Mahamaya, Devi, herself came in her form. Another person, she took her own aspect. When Sakubai saw another person like her twins, she asked, "Who are you?" She said, "I am Maya Sakubai. I am the Mahamaya who have come." She said, "Listen, I have come to help you to have the darshan of Panduranga." But then she said, you know, these people are very cruel. You have come to help me, but they will torture you. He said, don't worry for me. Your Lord is waiting for you. You know, as you want to look at his eyes, he also want to look at your eyes. Go to him. I will be here handling everything. So she left. She untied the real Sakubai. So Sakubai went to Pandharpur. And here, Maya Sakubai was there, doing all the work. Days, it took days for them to walk to Pandharpur. The moment she arrived in Pandharpur, she could not resist to run to the temple. Because the temple is always open. Only 2-3 hours it closes. She ran to the temple. And she was in such ecstasy. No one could stop her. She just ran, hug Panduranga. The moment she hugged Panduranga, put her head on the feet of Panduranga, she never got up. So that was her wish, to attain Panduranga, nothing else. And that's what the Lord have make it happen for. So she left her body on the feet of Vittala and attained, of course, the supreme abode again. When her husband heard about it, when some devotee came back, they said, "Oh, we feel very sad for you because your wife have passed, and how wonderful it is because she left her body on the feet of Vittala." The husband said, "What are you talking about? My wife was always here." Then they said, "No, she was in Pandharpur. We just buried her, cremate her, and buried her, and we came." I said, "Not possible. My wife was this morning serving me. You must be mistaken." He said, No, it is." And they were looking everywhere for Sakubai. She have disappeared. At that moment, the husband realized behind that madness, there were a great devotee hidden. So he realized what mistake he had done throughout his life. So why I told this story, let's see, it is the state of mind, The state of a mind of a bhakta is always absorbed in the remembrance of the Lord. And this is the beauty of it. Because he removed one from the sickness of the world. He healed one from the clutches of Maya. So when one mind is fully absorbed, the Lord becomes everything. So that's what that name stands as, a great healer.